You know, I think we all love a good AAA title, whether it's a new Zelda, Mario, Uncharted, Ratchet and Clank, whatever Microsoft puts out. Halo? Do they still do Halo? I don't know. But we all get excited about that, and the industry certainly gets excited about it because that kind of financial windfall makes the industry grow. When you buy something like a Halo game or a Mario game, chances are you're buying 2 or 3 other things at the same time. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. Now, as much as I love AAA titles, I don't want to talk about any of those today. Instead, I want to talk about games that really surprised me, that I didn't see coming. Games that made me sit up and take notice based on how good they were, not based on their pedigree. And we're going to start things off with a game that was introduced to me by a viewer, Eric. He told me about this game last year at Southeast Game Exchange. It's a game on the Game Boy Color called Power Quest. One of the things I really dig about Power Quest is that it's a fighting game RPG, which is really curious. I don't care for the password system, like, that kind of sucks. Really didn't think that one through, Sunsoft, but the gameplay itself is solid. It's a good-looking game, it's a solidly playing game, but the idea of having an RPG experience with a fighting game mechanic that is what your combat is really cleverly done. Now, I haven't beaten this game yet, so the wheels could completely fall off of this, but when he described it to me, I thought it sounded interesting, and when I got to play it, I was legitimately shocked at how great it was. Power Quest is a really fun game. It doesn't trade for a whole lot of money right now. I think you can get it for about 20 bucks loose. But this game right here is definitely worth checking out. And as I learned recently, this black cartridge means it's backwards compatible on an OG Game Boy. I'm going to head over now to the N64. Now the N64, when I think about that console, I think about racing games. And there's no shortage of fantastic racing games on that console. But the one that shocked me the most was a licensed game, and it was Beetle Adventure Racing. I remember when I got told about this, I was completely baffled that anyone would be excited about playing a racing game about VW bugs. Now, I like a bug, I like a Beetle, but it doesn't really scream racing game excitement, if you ask me. It's something where I'm thinking more like Ferraris or Lamborghinis, not, you know, an affordable hatchback that you can get from Germany. And the game, like to its credit, the game is excellent. It plays beautifully well. The controls are fantastic. The sound is great. The level designs are wonderful. It's one of the best racing games on the 64. On a console that is known for its incredible racing games, Beetle Adventure Racing stands out. It's just a ton of fun. I really wanted this game. Like, I played it when it initially came out, but for those that have been on the channel for a long time, you know I didn't actually own an N64 until a couple of years ago. So when I did finally get it, this was one of the first games I tracked down. I got my Jungle Green N64 for my birthday in 2022, thanks to Game Dad Chris and my wife Meredith. And getting it, we had the Midwest Gaming Classic like 2 weeks later, so I was able to find it there, pick it up, and add it to my collection. It was actually the first N64 game I bought, that and Space Station Silicon Valley, both of which are fantastic. That one could have been on this list too. If you haven't played that one, do so. It's brilliant. But Beetle Adventure Racing is the one that really surprised me because I didn't expect it to be nearly as good as it is. All right, going to head over to the GameCube now, and there are a lot of licensed games on this list, and maybe this is just a casual licensed game video for me, but screw it, who cares? But this is one that I legitimately love, and it was one that I learned about thanks to Metal Jesus Rocks, and that is Teen Titans on the GameCube. This is just brilliant. Like, this is... If you're at all a fan of the Teen Titans cartoon, or Teen Titans Go, it's not as silly as Teen Titans Go, obviously, but if you are a fan of the original Teen Titans cartoon that aired on Cartoon Network, this is a continuation of that series. With solid, fun gameplay, brilliant multiplayer, 4 players at the same time being able to control any members of the Teen Titans, whether it's Cyborg, Robin, Raven, or Beast Boy, you get to control them and have a blast, and you're fighting signature enemies from the Teen Titans series and the Teen Titan comics. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. All the voice actors return from the cartoon, so that's really cool. The gameplay is solid. The look is great. Like, it's just one of those signature moments that I think of when I think of multiplayer gaming on the Cube. Now, there's plenty of opportunity for multiplayer gaming on the GameCube, but for me, Teen Titans is one of the upper echelon titles, and it's one that I have a lot of fun with. And I really do need to thank Metal Jesus for that one, because it wasn't one that I ever had on my radar, but when he featured it, I want to say he featured it in a GameCube Hidden Gems video, and it was like legitimately surprising to see it on there, because it's not a property I would have thought of. Like, I didn't even know the game existed, but to see him sing its praises and to find it for fairly cheap at the time, it's gone up in price since then, but what a surprise, right? but to find it for a fairly decent price and to play it, it's amazing. And it's wonderful multiplayer. Absolutely wonderful. All right, now going over to the Nintendo Wii, and I have my friends Scott and Jen from Retro Rivals to thank for this one. And Dennis. We'll include Dennis on this one, everyone's favorite French-Canadian. And that is Pirates Plundar. Another fantastic multiplayer experience. This is a 4-player beat-em-up game where you play different pirates and you're finding different weapons as you play and going through these just ridiculous levels and ridiculous fights. And there is a solid challenge on this. Like, when I look at this game, when I look at this cover, this looks like the worst of the worst kind of Wii shovelware, but I'm telling you, the gameplay in this game is so much fun. It's ridiculous. It makes perfect use of the Wii system and the Wii remote controller. It doesn't put any ridiculous motion controls in it. It's just good, solid gameplay. If you're looking for a fun beat-em-up experience on the Wii, Pirates Plundar is the way to go. It's a brilliant title, one I have a lot of fun with, and I cannot thank my Canadian friends enough for suggesting this one on their channel. First off, they're two of my favorite people on the planet anyway, but their taste in games is impeccable. They're just wonderful folks, and to be able to get them, and Dennis, of course, but to be able to have them suggest such a fantastic game and for it to instantly hook me when I started playing it, that's rare that happens, especially on a Wii game, when I'm like already kind of precluded to not like Wii titles just because there's so much garbage out there. This one isn't garbage. It's fantastic. Okay, moving over to the PlayStation 2 now, and this is legitimately one of my favorite games on the PS2, and I know a lot of people like this one, but as someone who was playing its base game at the time, which was an MMORPG, I did not expect Champions of Norath to be any good on the PlayStation 2. I'm a huge fan of the EverQuest universe. I love the lore of the universe. I love the lore of the game. I love the different locations in the game. I love the different characters and races and classes that you're able to play as. And to see it put onto the PlayStation 2 in a way that I didn't expect it to work really shocked me. It's a lot like Diablo. It's a lot like Marvel Ultimate Alliance or X-Men Legends in that regard. It is a multiplayer game. You can play 1 to 4 players, and the gameplay is great. You go through the world of Norath. You're able to play as a bunch of different characters, and the gameplay is just fun. It's a simple, straightforward hack-and-slash game that is instantly rewarding based on the amount of loot you get, the amount of fighting that you're going to do, the great level designs, and just amazing couch co-op play. It's brilliant. I discovered this when I worked at EA, and it was one that was suggested to me by, I want to say, my friend Todd, who just had impeccable tasting games. So when he said, you should play this, I just believed him, and I bought it. And this is one I lost along the way. I actually picked this back up at, I want to say, the Cleveland Gaming Classic last year, and I'm so stoked to have it. Actually, it was Cleveland because I was looking for licensed games at that show. And this one was just one I could not pass up. It's so good. Now let's go back to handhelds here, and this is another for the Game Boy Color. And this is one you may have a difference of opinion on, and that's perfectly fine, because it is a game where I have found that the game that this is based around is kind of divisive. There are people who love it, there are people who hate it, but for me, I do enjoy Burger Time, and Flintstone's Burger Time at Bedrock is so much fun and so goddamn hard. Because, I mean, it's a Burger Time game. Of course it's difficult, but you play as Fred, and it's Burger Time in Bedrock. Like, it's right there in the title. It is exactly what it sets out to be. It does not pull any punches. It does not try to make itself easier by being a Flintstones licensed game. No, it just leans into the fact that it is going to kick your ass and make you enjoy it. It is a fun game that is insanely frustrating. So if you get easily annoyed with titles, if you get easily annoyed with classic retro games, don't play this one. But if you like the challenge of a kind of arcadey puzzle title, Burger Time at Bedrock is for you. I tracked this one down at Pittsburgh Gaming Expo last year, and I was so happy to find it there because it was one that I've been looking for over a year and a half, and to be able to get it was really cool because it was fun to just toss it in my Game Boy, be able to play it on the drive back home, to be able to just play it wherever. It's just a solid game. It's really fun. All right, over to the Xbox 360 now, and I've talked about this game a few times on the channel in the past, but the reason that this one surprises me is based on the time it released. So when this game released, there were movies featuring this property that were out that were patently terrible. The Transformers movies from Michael Bay, and Transformers Fall of Cybertron was not one I expected to be any good, or any of the Cybertron games, honestly, because, again, Michael Bay was kind of a poison pill for that property. I wasn't a huge Transformers fan anyway, but I didn't like his films, and I certainly didn't expect to like any video games that were based on the property at the time. Now, those aren't based on the Bayverse. Those are based on kind of Gen 1. Not really Gen 1. I don't really know what they're based on. Not a huge Transformers fan. Did I mention that already? Sometime in the mid-2000s, I guess, or the 2010s is when those games came out. I don't know what the hell they're based on. But they're really good. They're Gears of War style games. They're third-person shooters where you're following a particular character that you're controlling, whether it's Optimus or Bumblebee or Ironhide, and you're able to switch into vehicle mode and go through the game. And there's a solid challenge here, and it's an intense game. Like, you feel like you're in a firefight at all times. It's excellent. I really, really enjoy and appreciate the design effort that went into it, and it really is a shame that this is a licensed property, that this just wasn't an original IP, because unfortunately it's just only playable on the 360 now. It's not backwards compatible anywhere else, and you can't buy it digitally, which really sucks, because I think a lot of people would really, really love to play this game, and I can only imagine the improvements that this game would see on something like the Series X with the load times and graphical improvements that could be applied to it. It's absolutely flippin' brilliant. I love it. Back to the GameCube, and this is one I got last year in a Video Games Monthly box, and I fully anticipated this game being terrible. And it was one that this video was inspired actually by my friend John from Biddy Kong's Quest. He recently did a video a couple days ago that he talked about this game in, and it was one where I kind of forgot how much I enjoyed it, and it's Defender on the GameCube. Now, again, if you've been on the channel for a while, you know I'm not a huge Atari fan. I don't really have a lot of affinity or affection for older Atari games, so when I saw Defender, I kind of rolled my eyes immediately. It was like, why in the hell was there a Defender port on the GameCube? That's ridiculous. And instead, what I got was a space combat game that is not only brilliantly designed, it's bloody difficult, and it sings. It's so good. It's a really important usage of a classic IP and updating it for the modern consoles at the time was something that I don't think a lot of companies were really setting out to do. This is only a few years after we got Frogger in 1998 on the Genesis, which was just Frogger. That's it. No bells and whistles, no improvements, nothing. So my skepticism was pretty high. But to get an excellent space combat game that features the Defender license and is pretty damn challenging was really rewarding. Now, you guys know I love my sports games, and I am a hockey apologist. I tend to find quality in every hockey game, so I didn't want to talk about hockey here. I wanted to talk about something else, and it is a game that I've talked about on the channel in the past, and I didn't expect this to be good because, honestly, I don't really care for the sport all that much, especially video game versions of it, but Topspin and Topspin 2, we're talking about Topspin 2 here, but the Topspin series is magnificent. It is a wonderful representation of the sport of tennis. It plays beautifully well. The look is great. The sound is fantastic. It is perfect for the Xbox 360. There's nothing about that game I dislike. There's a good challenge there. There's a great setup to the way you actually play. You're able to create your own character and go through, but you can just hop in a game and play as licensed tennis players as well, and just fantastic venues all over the world. It's a really solid game that is brilliantly designed, and I'm so happy to see the Topspin series continuing forward. I think we're getting one releasing really soon. But it's something where it made me a believer in tennis as a viable video game option, and that, of course, led me to stuff like Mario Tennis and things like that, which are still fantastic. It's just a solid gameplay experience. So if you're looking for something a little bit different as a sports title, you're looking for something that isn't just football, baseball, hockey, basketball, Topspin's the way to go. It's really, really good. All right, final one on here, and the one that is just the epitome of I did not see that coming is Fantastic Four Flame On the Game Boy Advance. I have talked about this game numerous times on this channel. I am not a fan of the movies the game is based on. I love Marvel Comics. I love comic books. I love the Fantastic Four. I hate those movies. They're terrible. So when I got that game, I immediately said, this game's gonna be awful. And I popped it in, and I was legitimately blown away by the quality of it, because it is made by Taurus Software. Taurus Software did things like the Invincible Iron Man on the Game Boy Advance, so their pedigree of making chicken salad out of chicken shit is right there. It's amazing. The gameplay is beautiful. The personality of Johnny Storm is captured perfectly. The level designs are great. The enemies are fun. You're fighting Skrulls. You never saw Skrulls in the movies, but you're fighting Skrulls. It's great. It just works. Everything in this game is perfect. It is one of my favorite Game Boy Advance experiences, and it is like dirt cheap. It's like a $5 game. I cannot urge you enough to pick this one up. If you like platformers, if you like games like The Invincible Iron Man, or you're just looking for some good superhero fun, Fantastic Four Flame On is the way to go. That's it though. That's my 10 games. I think it was 10. Hold on, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, hey, I got it right. It was 10 games. Those are my 10 games that legitimately surprised me. Those are games that I did not see being nearly as good as they are. Let me know in the comments down below what games surprised you, even if it is a AAA title, because I know there's some games that I just went, I don't know if this is going to be good, but immediately springing to mind is Assassin's Creed Origins. I did not necessarily think switching over to the RPG format that they went to was going to work, but goddamn, did they nail it. That game's fantastic, and everything that's released since is wonderful. But yeah, let me know. Let me know what game surprised you down in the comments below. And if there's any you think I should check out, let me know as well, because I would love to take a look at them. Please hit like, please subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to have you stick around. If you really dig the work I do, you can always click the join button to become a channel member, or the Patreon link down in the description below or on screen at the end of the video. And hey, stick around, because next week we're going to have some coverage of the Midwest Gaming Classic, and we're going to be unboxing the latest from Video Games Monthly. Until next time, folks, I've been Jay. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Thank you so much for being here. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.